it might have gotten cut off. And that is, when I first moved back, I created a nature wall on one of my walls. And that was comprised of a bunch of twigs and leaves and stuff that I gathered during the fall. I guess it was during the fall. Well, I don't know. Anyway, I scotch taped it to my wall. Like, I just used tape, and that was enough. It kept everything up on the wall. And everything was fine. Everything stayed, even though it was put together just with scotch tape. Someone I know asked if I could take care of her dog overnight for a couple nights, and also a friend of her needed cat visits. They were both going to a special event in like Atlantic City or something. So I was like, great, you know, I could use the work. And anyway, a couple nights before I would do the overnights, the house sitting gig or apartment sitting gig, there was a little bit of crackly sound on the nature wall thing. But I checked it, secured it, everything was fine, and it had stayed up for months by then. Like, it didn't fall down, everything was fine. I do the overnight, the very first one. I come back the next morning, and more than half of the nature wall, if not 90%, had fallen to the ground. So this morning I've been talking a little bit about how far would people go to be part of a special harassment group. It's hard to explain, and if you live in an apartment, people do have access, and even though they're supposed to alert you with an email or a text to say that they're coming in for some reason, if you didn't already call them. Like, most people call maintenance and then they say, okay, we're on our way at this hour or that hour. But should someone need to enter your apartment for other reasons, they're supposed to leave a note, like, we had to come in, there's a smoke detector problem, or whatever, while you were out, you know. Anyway, is it possible that people would play games and play into a major harassment, gang stalking effort? And yeah, even city infrastructure could play into it. Someone could open a store in the name of whatever the game is. So anyway, I had to put on my critical thinking cap, because I was like, I can't believe that wall came off after all these months of it staying in place and not having a major issue. So I went through the thing of like, would someone do it? You know, who was the concierge? You know, who, you know, and they have 24-hour maintenance also in case there's an emergency. The problem is, you know, and it's like, would someone be in a special club, and would the people I even took care of the cats of, or these people who were supposedly away, would they even be in a special club and actually participate in coming in? Because maybe they're good friends with, you know, the concierge, or maybe it's like, oh, let's do this, you know, no one will know. Say you live in an apartment building where a lot of family rings are brought in and directed. People are actually directed. You can specifically request a building, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people wind up in certain apartment buildings because they're directed there by the gods in the sky. You know what? We'll put her here. A lot of students in my building, because they go to UPenn or similar. So, of course, my reaction was, are you kidding? You know, 8 months this thing is totally fine on the wall. And the minute I spend one night away from my apartment at night and it came down off the wall. In the comments, do you think that's a coincidence? Or did someone actually go that far? Could it be done invisibly? That's another question I have wondered, because I've seen things happen that are odd. And it's like, I mentioned one person's name and everything falls off the windowsill. And it's like, what? You know, was there a gust of wind? Was there this or that? So, point is, that stuff falling off the wall played into the fact that I was not at home that evening, and in fact was, you know, doing an overnight, and would come back to this mess on the floor and sort of, you know, both, you know, fear and disappointment. Disappointment that a lot of effort, you know, was sort of on the floor, and fear and frustration, like, did someone actually do this in person? And I pictured like an old mafia movie where a whole bunch of people are operating behind your back, and they're They know they can get away with it based on, you know, there are people who know they should work for certain companies because they know it's their people. There's a yoga studio and certain people will become instructors there or will work there because they recognize the name and they know that they will fare better amongst their own. And these are bullies, which is the opposite of yoga in general. It's, you know, yoga is supposed to be about a certain type of practice in life. And we have people who already knew if they wanted to apply or even train to be a yoga instructor, that they should go to a very specific yoga studio. They know to work there because they know that they might actually believe they have a higher agenda when really it's lower. It's so low, they're practically in the basement. People got to drag them up out of there. Anyway, I'm just saying, and some people still operate like it's a 1952 Godfather movie here in Philly. Philly, case in point.
Wait.
So that's the regular.
Cross Sampson at 12. Wait. Sampson. Walk sign is on to cross Sampson. Sampson. Walk sign is on to cross Sampson.
Okay, the voice, they've changed it a little bit. It sounds like the press person for the cops, but it's in there, whatever that accent is. Anyway, I'm just saying, see how that plays into a Philadelphia story that just goes on and on for the lowest level infamy you can ever imagine. Say you're swarmed and surrounded by people who still think the world operates by deep-throated mafias from 1952. And there are people without proof, without being in the presence of a person they believe operates like a mafia. Say like in politics, we still have people who operate like that. Really, have you worked with the person on a daily basis and witnessed this yourself? Or do you buy it because that's what you're peddled and sold? I don't believe anything till I see it at this point in time, because I was fucked with so badly. So anyway, that's that. So Grace Kelly in this 1213 Walnut. I don't know what the building, I don't know if it has a separate name or if it's actually just called 1213 Walnut. I guess it's just called 1213 Walnut. Newspapers here. Some of the Sunday Enquirer.